As we speak right now, teams of researchers in Texas are working around the clock to find a cure for a rare genetic disorder.
Now, this family of diseases, you might remember this, got a lot of national attention earlier this month when that man, NBC reporter Richard Engel, went public with his own story about his son, Henry.
Tonight, Oklahoma families are raising awareness about this very same condition.
It is relatively new, first discovered in 2005, and very rare. There are only 3 diagnosed cases here in Oklahoma.
Allie Myers sat down with all 3 families in this cutting-edge report.
Brantley Taylor came right on time. Connor Mansalese, full term and just a week early. And Logan Schaffner left the hospital with no trouble at all. But within weeks of birth, the boys started showing signs something just wasn't quite right. Genetic specialists eventually discovered what was terribly wrong.
My world came crashing down.
We had no idea what it meant at the time, and neither did the geneticist who called us.
Brantley, Connor, and Logan were born with MECP2 duplication syndrome, a rare genetic mix-up. Their bodies produce too much of a protein essential for brain function.
Almost like biblical, it's like you're giving your firstborn son is taken away from you, right? Like that is just, of all the things that could happen to you in your life, it's like that is the most devastating punishment.
MECP2 duplication was discovered by the researcher who named Rett syndrome, a sister disorder in girls. Logan was the first case diagnosed in Oklahoma.
So we were learning together with the doctors about this diagnosis here in Oklahoma.
I could bite her arm.
These boys don't talk, many don't walk, some cannot eat on their own, most have seizures, and will never do the things other little boys can do.
Hey.
Brantley has a feeding tube. He'll be 4 years old this year, but he still can't crawl. His biggest accomplishment, learning to sit up at 2.5.
It was like the most devastating thing, knowing that your child isn't gonna have the life that you kind of hoped for and planned for.
Brantley spent a lot of time in the hospital, treatment for a bunch of MECP2 related challenges.
We just know that time is of the essence for us, so for him.
Time is definitely not on our side. The older he gets, I think, we worry about losing him.
So the pregnancy was pretty normal. We didn't know that anything was going to be kind of different.
Connor was Ben and Kate's first son. Kate did genetic testing during pregnancy, but those tests aren't sensitive enough to pick up on the mutation.
I was like treading water every day, like just trying to keep my head, above water, trying to keep going and think and any day I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if he was going to start seizing, if he was going to stop eating, if he was going to stop breathing again.
MECP2 is a spectrum disorder. Some kids, like Connor, can learn to feed themselves. He's also a good crawler, 5.5 years old, and working on the strength to stand. Connor started school this year in Ms. Robbins' class at Washington Irving Elementary.
Your turn to help me
Intellectual disability is a hallmark of MECP2, and even though there's a wide range of physical challenges, all of these boys are nonverbal, speechless, in a world still struggling to understand them.
Oh, I always have hope. I always have hope. You cannot walk through the doors of this classroom and do what we do every day if you don't have a foundation of hope.
Hope is taking shape in a lab at Texas Children's Hospital. Dr. Huda Zogby's research is lighting the way with breakthrough treatments for kids with MECP2 duplication. She believes she is on the verge of reversing the disease. Dr. Zogby found a way to block the extra copy of the gene in mice and erase MECP2 symptoms after just a few months of treatment.
Sometimes from the rarest thing, you can learn the most, and that's really important to know.
Money buys mice and researcher and time in the lab and progress. And so MECP2 families around the world have been fundraising to speed up the science.
But we always had hope that there was going to be another one good moment.
For Logan, there were big, happy milestones, a 10th birthday he was never supposed to have, and a graduation, 8th grade at Cimarron Middle School.
And I think that that was probably the hardest part, to know that this hard work that we had been doing with therapies and all that were one day not going to actually possibly make a difference.
Seizures started when he was 11, and then everything changed.
When the decline happened, we saw the suffering, and the suffering is what made the difference. We didn't want to see him suffer, and we knew the suffering was not going to end. The suffering was going to continue, and the suffering was going to get worse.
Logan got pneumonia, and then he couldn't walk anymore. They call it regression, when the most devastating symptoms of the disorder set in. Logan died last October, at home, surrounded by love.
And we knew that being here at home with his family is where he would want to be.
The heartbreaking end they all knew was coming. To lose this battle, so close to a potential cure. So they are fighting for their kids. Together, these families have raised more than $1 million.
I definitely think I see more of a future for him. And him playing with his sister and running up and down the street and riding his bike. I definitely think about that.
An unshakable army, they are the voice for a rare group of boys who cannot speak, and they cling to hope that a cure will come in time for their sons. Allie Meyer, Oklahoma's News 4.
Right now, these families are focused on raising money for the first human trials, which could be just a few years away.
And a shout out to those parents who are Profiles Encourage, man. We've put a link to their nonprofit group, 401 Project, on our website.